Hi, I'm Chris from Airwindows, and hey, you can do this. This is kGuitarHall. It's the final thing left over from last year that I can post before I get busy doing a bunch of other little plugins. My route for 2025 is do a bunch of other little plugins that will lead me to being able to do console H. H is for hip hop. But this is a sort of final touch on what I was doing around console X, which is more your SSL style hit record, I don't know, hair metal or whatever you want to call it, the superstardom console version. And what we do with it it's tailored so that it gives a certain kind of mid-range rip to things like guitar sounds. It's called kGuitarHall because it hopes to be able to add bigness and intensity. And we've got all of our same techniques in here. We can do a pre-delay. If you don't do a pre-delay, then it's going to set whatever track you're using, in this case a guitar, way farther back in the reverb. You can do a big sustainy thing with regen. Regen is going to give you some of that kind of high frequency crackle that you can hear off of guitars in big spaces. At least that's the hope. So I designed this around memories of going and hearing Night Ranger live in a hockey stadium in Michigan when I was a kid. And yeah, that was arguably my first concert I ever went to. So that's, I feel very cool about that. But it did show me that sound. And I've tried to reproduce it. Or, regen gives you a very tight sound as well, although it's a weird kind of sound designed around guitar-y noises. And of course we have Top dB right in the top there, where you can dial this in and it will sit the echoey sound differently as far as how loud it sounds. Let's go back to the huge sound again. Top dB has a way of being able to make the reverb's tone extremely intense, deep sounding, loud sounding, and then of course you don't have to use it in this overbearing way. You can bring in just a little tiny bit. But that's not all, because we've got D-Res. So when you apply D-Res, it takes the internal sample rate down a huge amount and reconstructs the wave with Bezier curves. So the neat thing about that is you get to expand the built-in size of the reverb unit, and this is also its technique of handling high sample rates. So it should go to like 96 or even 192 if you want, super high sample rates gracefully, because it's always doing this reconstruct thing. But then you can make it a very deep, dark sound. And of course, you don't have to have top dB at 127 dB with a really low D-res, because you're hearing some of the crackliness of it, making the sound really loud. So instead, you can get this sort of weird spaciness going on. And then, of course, you don't have to pick a really low D-res unless you want to for the strange sounds it produces. It's essentially pitch shifting the size of the room down in size. So you can pick something else. So one step down from the top, running at 96K anyhow, you can make it a little less crackly. Or down it even further. To get this really intense, saturated sound of loudness that you can use in all kinds of things, because I can throw on an entirely other thing. And dial that in too. So you hear there's like a snare in there, and that works out fairly well for this too. And then you can dial how that comes across using D-res to set the size. Top dB to make it a little bigger. Pull the regen down maybe a little bit. Until even on full wet, you get kind of a sense of what this sound is. You can hear it kind of pounding away. And then, of course, we can pull wetness back and blend it in with the sound. So if you have like a big final thing coming in, you could use this reverb to reinforce it. You hear sounds happening. And then a big final part. And you can have it be loud sounding. And then you set the reverb to make it bigger. And that's kGuitarHall. If you didn't recognize that sound, you might have remembered that showing up in an early mix on one of my videos around 2023, I guess it would have had to be. And it's one of the songs that I'm remixing for an album using Console X and some new techniques that I'm figuring out. And that's going pretty well. Although I can give you a sneak peek buried in reverb just for fun. But for now, I'll get back to work and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.